Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabrakatah, all the brothers. Shalom, Yahweh Shemal Athabah Shem Yahweh Shad, all the sisters. I see Shalom. I see you, Kazak Shapar. Alright. I see you, Brother Desmond. Shalom. Brother Desmond, we gotta get you a Hebrew name, brother. Alright, I see you, Shar. Shalom. Alright. Sister Adrian checking in from Charleston. Let me see what's up with your Hebrew name too, Sister Adrian. We the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out on 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA. And what we teach is that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, according to the Bible, according to archaeology, according to history, according to all the records on the earth, even our so-called oppressors' records, prove that we are the 12 tribes of Israel. You understand? The only people on the earth that seem to be deceived by that notion is us. We're the only ones who don't quite understand who we are. You know what I mean? Who don't know who we are, where we come from. You know, our oppressor, he has a rich history. He knows where he's from. You understand? He can show you, even in his records, that he comes from the mountains of Georgia, Russia. You know, he can show you that he comes from the Caucasus Mountains. In fact, his name even calls himself the Caucasian. You understand? Whereas black, what is black? Black is a color. You understand? Black is a color like the color of this banner here. This banner is black. My t-shirt is black. My sunglasses are brown. So like it. You understand? But here's the deal. What we're gonna get into today is a real heavy topic. You understand? Oftentimes when you're talking to people, brothers and sisters in the world, and you understand, one of the first comebacks that they hit you with is they talk about King James. You know, that's one of the first things out their mouth. The white man wrote the Bible. You understand? King James was a homosexual. King James was a white man, a homosexual. You know, they the ones that gave us the Bible. You understand? Why we gonna believe in something they gave us? And blase, blase, blah. You understand? But here's the truth on the matter. You understand? One of the things they like to say is, they love to say that the Bible was tampered with. You understand? They love to say that. That's one of the things that I hear come out of a lot of people's mouths, and it's like immediately off of that notion that the Bible was tampered with. You understand? Then they just write off the whole thing. You understand? So here's the deal. I'm gonna give you something to think about when you think about the Bible being tampered with. You understand? If let's see, if I got a plate of food, right, and I fix myself a plate of food and I put chicken, mashed potatoes, and collard greens on my plate, right, and I come back and my chicken is gone, then my plate has been tampered with. You understand? However, the mashed potatoes, they still there. Those are still mashed potatoes. You understand? The collard greens, they still there. Those are still collard greens. Only thing is, my chicken is missing. You understand? So when people say the Bible's been tampered with, you understand? One of the things I always ask them, well, what tampering was done? And most of them have no clue what kind of tampering was done to the Bible. You understand? But here's the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is the tampering that was done to the Bible was in 1792 when they removed the 14 books out of the Bible known as the Apocrypha. That was the tampering that was done to the Bible. They removed 14 books. They removed those 14 books because from those 14 books there was information is identifying who the 12 tribes were as far as the northern kingdom, that they did not want to get out. Also, there were stories in those 14 books that inspired revolution amongst the slaves in the Western in the West Indies, in the Caribbean, in the Jamaica, Haiti, and things like that. You understand? Those books inspired a lot of revolutions during slavery. You understand? So the tampering that they did was they made it considered what they call non-canon 14 books which are not included in the Bible. You understand? So, but however, when King James authorized the translation of the 1611 King James Version, that original version had the 14 books in it known as the Apocrypha. In fact, I've got about 2 or 3 of them, 1611 King James Bibles. You understand? So you can go to a bookstore and you can buy a Bible that includes the Apocrypha in it. So as a 1611, when King James put together that Bible, you understand, or authorized the putting together of the Bible, because King James himself did not translate the Bible. You understand? King James hired Hebrew scholars and Greek scholars to translate the Bible from the original text. You understand? And to this day, the King James Bible is the most accurate Bible when translated from Hebrew to English. It is the most accurate Bible on the planet, which is why we use it in the I.S.U.P.K. You understand? We don't use the new international version like the Christian pastor does. You understand? We don't use those. Now, those Bibles have been tampered with heavily. There's a lot of scriptures that are in the King James Version that are either non-existent or changed completely in the newer versions in the Bible. You understand? See, what does Shaw say? They say the Bible is written by man. By man is another. Hold on. They say Bible is written by man is another. Could I say the Most High? Hold on. Yeah. Okay, yeah. They do say the Bible is written by man. Correct. You know what I'm saying? Say, could I say the Most High gave the laws to a man, Moses, to give to his people? Would that solidify? Okay. All right. So here's the thing about the Bible, right? So the Bible is a history book. It's a record. It's a historical record of the account of the Israelites dealing with the Most High. You understand? It's the records kept by the Israelites. So the thing is that all of the scripture, everything the Israelites went through, was inspired by the Most High. So all scripture is inspired by the Most High. You understand? So all of it is. However, the Bible was written by men because it was the historical records of the men who lived in Israel in dealings with the Most High and seeing what the Most High, all the miracles that the Most High did and all the wars that the Most High fought and things like that. So what you would say is, you would say that the Bible was inspired by the Most High. It was written by man because it was a written account of these people who dealt with the Most High. You understand? So now, regardless on all of that, you know, most of them will say, well, we don't believe the Bible because it was written by man. Well, here's the thing. Everything that they come up with in their head to believe in was created by man, because they are a man. They themselves are a man who is coming up with these ideas in their head to believe in. So what they are believing is coming straight out of the head of a man. So even what they believe is coming out of their own mind. You understand? So, anybody who says, they don't want to believe something because it was written by a man, that's just ridiculous. You understand? Why would the Most High come down and give us the cheat code? You understand? Then we wouldn't deserve it. If he just gave us the cheat code, you understand? Well, he kind of did give us the cheat code. He gave us a cheat code in the law, statutes, and commandments. It's up to us to follow. You understand? And so the thing is that, they do say that the Bible was written by man. You understand? Or the Bible was written by a white man. You understand? And then, oftentimes when you dig into what do they believe in? And they'll start rattling off things that were written by man. You understand? They'll just start rattling off things. I'm like, okay, so you would rather believe in something you created yourself, or would you rather believe in something that's going to save your life? Because here's the deal. Someone who doesn't want to follow the Bible, 9 times out of 10, they don't follow the Bible because the Bible is against whatever lust they refuse to give up. You understand? A homosexual ain't going to look at the UPK and be like, I want to join the UPK. You understand? Because a homosexual wants to be a homosexual. You understand? A soldier wants to be in the UPK. You understand? A homosexual, he'll be like, I'd rather wear purple. You understand? So here's the deal. So out of all those myths, we're going to dispel one of them today. You understand? And what we're going to do today, we're going to do class a little different. Normally, I know we dive right into it. Matter of fact, we're going to dive into the scriptures. You understand? Matter of fact, I'm going to pull the scripture I pull in every class. Deuteronomy 7:6. You understand? We're going to start at Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6. And it reads, says, for thou art a holy people. Hold on, Salaki. 1 minute, Salaki. All right, Deuteronomy 7:6 says, for thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy power. You understand? It says, so blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we are a holy people. The word holy means separate. We've been separated from these other nations. You understand? We're not the same as them. We're not on equal footing with our oppressor. We're not on equal footing with the Chinese man. We're not on equal footing with the Arab man and the African man and the East Indian man. You understand? We are holy people. You understand? Unto the Most High, unto Yahweh. You understand? It says, Yahweh thy power have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself. You understand? We've been chosen to be a special people on this earth. You understand? The black man is a special person on this earth. The Native Indian man is special. The Hispanic man is special. You understand? We are not like all the other nations. All the other nations, what the Lord calls heathens. You understand? They are all heathens. You understand? Just like the Chinese man proved just now that, he just showed before the entire world, the whole world is finally woken up to the fact that these some nasty bastards over here in China. These are some disgusting bastards over here in China. You understand? Over here eating raw bat soup and grilled tiger meat, eating all kind of abominations. You understand? Eating live octopus. I never stop talking about that live octopus. You understand? They eating bats and rats and cats and dogs, and you understand? Just eating anything with a pulse. They eat it. You understand? They probably eat rocks if they was alive. You understand? The Chinese man, these are all heathens. The Lord considered us special in comparison with them. You understand? And there's so many ways that you can look at blacks and Hispanics and Native Indians and see that we clearly are special on this earth. Even our oppressor identifies us as special. He sees that we have special qualities that other nations do not have. You understand? He sees those qualities. Even our oppressor sees how special we are. You understand? Those things, though, a lot of those things that we are gifted with, you understand, were a lot of the reasons why they chose to oppress us in the first place. You understand? That's one of the reasons. I mean, think about it. Even the Egyptians, when the Egyptians let the children of Israel live in Egypt, you understand? They put the children of Israel in slavery, all because. Hold on. Okay, they put the children of Israel in slavery, all because they saw how mighty they was. They sat there and looked down and like imagine having, I look at Officer Natazar's son Natazar. I get amazed every time I'm around him. Like, he just amazes me at how big and strong he is, to just be three or 4 years old. Like, he towers above any other 3 or 4 year old. Like, I tell him all the time, he's just a linebacker waiting to happen. You understand? So you imagine living in an era where kingdoms rise and fall through hand-to-hand combat. And you looking down at all these kids, and they are an entire foot taller than your children, and at least got 50 pounds on your child. You understand? Then you see the adults, and you see that, man, these people are 7 feet, 6'5", 300, solid. You know what I mean? I don't think we can mess with them on the battlefield. So the Egyptians looked at that and said, you know what, man, we got to do something with these Hebrews before they go over there and join our enemies in battle. Because we do not want to be against these cats. So they answer for it was to put us in slavery. You understand? They put us in slavery because of how mighty we was. You understand? Because of how valiant we were. You understand? Because of how strong we were. Because of our athleticism. Because of how much stronger and how more well nourished our children was compared to theirs. You know what I mean? Like, you look at, I go on Google, if I Google African kids, I promise you they all gonna look like they starving to death. You understand? But you look at a black kid, you understand, he looked like a little athlete ready to, all he need to do is learn the rules and get some pads. You understand? So the Lord chose us to be a special people on this earth. I'm going to read on. It says, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So the Lord chose us to be a special people so that we could be above all the other nations. You understand? Well, right now, in this society, we live in a society where we live below all the other nations. We are subservient to all of the nations on the earth. You understand? Because think about it. We either work for our oppressor, we either work for the Arab man, we either work for the East Indian man, we working for the Chinese man. You understand? I know down where I live, a lot of people work in hotels, and a lot of these hotels is owned by Indians. Not Native Americans, not Native Indians, but them East Indians, them Habujabi, Punjabis. You understand? Them cats. The curry powder and underarm sweat. Those guys. You understand? A lot of us work, we slave for all these other nations. You understand? So we serve all these nations on the earth. You understand? But the Lord chose us to be the one that got served by these nations. He gave us the inheritance of the entire world. You understand? So So here's the deal, right? You understand? I always like to bring that scripture out because I want brothers and sisters to understand how special we are as a people, man. You understand? Because that's something that's been forgotten about. You understand? That's something that's been forgotten about. And because we don't realize how special of a people we are, you understand? We do things like get high. We do things like sleep with whores. We do things like sleep with white women. We sell drugs to our people. We gangbang. You understand? We abuse our children. We abuse ourselves. We abuse our wives because we have forgotten how special we are as a people. We've forgotten those things. You understand? And I want to drill that home to our people, man, that we are a special people on this earth. We are not ordinary. There's nothing about the black man that's regular. You understand? Our oppressor, that is a plain, regular devil. You understand? The East Indian man, you understand? He is as plain and regular as they come. Ain't nothing special about him. You understand? The Arab man, ain't nothing special about him. Ain't nothing special about none of these other nations except for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You understand? And everything they ever tried to do in history, we step in and we do something that captivates everybody. You understand? Our oppressor doesn't captivate anyone when he sings a song. You understand? I've never heard a Caucasian woman sing a song that sends chills up your spine. I've never heard that. You know what I mean? But I have heard like Whitney Houston sing songs that, you know what I mean, where you can tell, man, this woman's singing from a place that you can't even see with your eyes. You understand? And so, like, you know, you look at basketball players from Michael Jordan, you know what I mean? Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Steph Curry, you know what I mean? I can't even think of, okay, I did think of one. I was going to say I can't even think of one white basketball player, but I just thought of one. But I can only think of one, Luka Doncic. You understand? As far as everybody else, you know what I mean? You got Zion Williams. Zion Williams is a freak of nature in the NBA at 19 years old. You understand? You don't see things like that amongst these other nations. You don't see that type of thing going on. You understand? You don't see any of that. You don't see any type of qualities making them more special than any other nation, except the fact that they have in captivity the 12 tribes of Israel. That's the only thing that makes them different than all the other nations, is that they are murderers and that they have us in slavery. You understand? Because if you got the greatest people in the earth in slavery, then you can go forth to build the greatest empire in the world. You understand? But what if we had our own empire? What if we were kings and queens? Salakia, not queens, but what if we were kings? You understand? And princes and princesses and dukes and things like that. You understand? Well, today we're gonna dive into a little history about a time when that actually existed. In fact, it's a time that most people don't even think about, because during those time periods, all of those time periods have been whitewashed. You understand? All right, so Sister Bree Thomas has a question. So I have a question. What is a negative connotation related to people saying they're spiritual? I used to say it, but I know I'm not supposed to. Okay. All right, so a lot of times when people say I'm spiritual, you know, that could mean anything. You know what I mean? That could mean anything. Murder is a spirit. You understand? Child molestation is a spirit. Homosexuality is a spirit. Drug addiction is a spirit. All of those things are spirits. So a person who is spiritual, that just means that they follow whatever spirit feels good at the moment. You understand? So basically, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it or the best way to put it. If it feels good to smoke weed today, I'm going to smoke weed today because I'm spiritual. If it feels good to do nothing and not help my family, then I'm going to do it because I'm spiritual. So being spiritual means a lot of different things. Some people are into, some people say spiritual and they actually worship many different gods. And they do things like they might meditate or, I guess stimulate their kundalinis, whatever all that other stuff is. And really, all of it is just the worship of another god, in a basic standpoint. But when someone says they're spiritual, typically that means that they just don't know what to believe. They just follow every little thing that feels good for the moment. You understand? If someone's saying the black woman is God, that feels good to say. So therefore, you are spiritual today because that's what you believe today. And then the next minute, you're thinking weed connects you with the universe. And so you're spiritual because you believe all these crazy things when really it's just the worship of other gods. So that's really the negative connotation of it as far as how we view it in the UPK. It is, you really just following after your lust. You understand? That's really what it means when someone says that they're spiritual. Most people who say that they are spiritual smoke a lot of weed. You understand? Or they burn these incense. Or they got Buddha over here and got a Hindu statue over there, and they got dreadlocks and they wear a cross on their neck, and they got an ankh tattooed on their forearm. You understand? They're just confused. You understand? So now the thing is that there are things that are spiritual. You understand? So not to say, how can I put this? The UPK is spiritual. You understand? Because we are led by the Holy Spirit. You understand? And the thing is that the Holy, we follow that spirit. You understand? We follow the spirit of Yahushua. And so the thing is that, when someone says that they are spiritual, that's basically what it means, is that they follow whatever vibe feels good for the moment. You understand? A person who's spiritual will go to church one Sunday and clap their hands and praise Jesus and accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. And the next day we'll do all types of things. Let's see. Kind of want to the water. So I think Christians say it because they believe in the Holy Spirit, so they connect it to. I definitely see the true meaning of it, right? And that that's a perfect example as a Christian. A Christian definitely, now their idea of spiritual is more like magic or possession. Like demon possession or something like that. Or being possessed by a spirit. That's their idea of spiritual or spiritualism, or I don't even think it's a word, but that's kind of their viewpoint of it. And they believe that like they can be the Holy Spirit. They believe that it's something like when they're in church, pastor has said the right words and the right song come on. And now you just can't stop twerking uncontrollably at the pulpit. They call that the Holy Spirit or the Holy Ghost. You understand? They got the Holy Ghost. You understand? So for them, it's kind of like it's like they like to think that they're being possessed by spirits. They believe in demon possession and spirit possession and things like that. So in that form of spiritual, that is kind of the same thing, because even when they go off to live their lives, they doing the same thing that the person does that believes in every God. They celebrate Christmas. They all celebrate Christmas together. They all celebrate Thanksgiving together. You understand? The atheist and the Christian sit down and eat Thanksgiving together. The atheist and the Christian celebrate Christmas together. You understand? So all of that, all of those practices, all of that is all the worship of other gods. You understand? So, that's I guess when you said like the negative connotation, I guess I'm assuming that you're talking about the UPK standpoint on it. You understand? The negative connotation of what makes it wrong is because all of it is just the worship of another God. You understand? So with that give me 1 second here. All right, we got any other questions in the room? All right, so if you got any questions, go ahead and type them in. So this book right here, it's a good book. Every brother and sister should go ahead and pick it up. It's called The Negro Question, Part 4. It's written by Lee Cummings. You understand this? And it goes into a lot of history involving what's known as the Byzantine Empire. You understand? So here's the deal, right? I'm going to read you something about King James. We're going to read about King James, all right? So this is on page 8 of the Negro Question, Part 4, The Missing Link. And on page 8, see, I'm gonna just read the whole paragraph. All right, so first of all, I'm gonna show you this picture. If you can see that. All right, so this right here is King James. All right, so Jordan Young, you asked, is burning incense a sin? Burning incense is not a sin. But burning incense to other gods is a sin. You understand? Like smoking weed is like burning incense to other gods. That is a sin. You understand? And there's many other different examples of that. But burning incense is to wild. We burn incense in class. You understand? We burn incense at the high holy days. I burned incense earlier today at home. Burning incense is not a sin. All right, so let's see. All right, so this picture right here, this is King James. I don't know if you can really get a good look at it. This is King James. When you look at this picture, you got a little mini fro, got a little goatee going. You understand? This is King James. All right, so I'm going to read what this author wrote about King James. It says, I know that this image of a black King James can be a little confusing because of our Western education, but this is the truth that is known by the rich and the elite in the world. That was the reason I paraded all of the English historians and professors before you before I got into the bowel of this book. Meaning that, in previous pages, he was quoting all of his sources. All right, Shar, the title of this book is called The Negro Question, Part 4. I think he wrote 4 or 5 of these, and it's the red one that's about King James. All right, so it says, and I had to get your mind ready to receive the truth. It says, and then read on, it says, King James came from a long line of black Scottish Stuart kings. It says 343 years of rulership in Scotland. So the Stuarts not only ruled in Scotland, they ruled France, Spain, Ireland, and England, Britain, and Wales. It says King James was able to rule all of these lands because all of these people were of Iberian or black descent. They were the same people. You understand? So King James, people argue all the time, King James was white, King James was this and that, and blah, 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 blah. But King James himself was a black man. You understand? All throughout that time period, England was ruled over by black people. You understand? England was ruled over by black people. One second here. All right, so I'm going to read this right here. Here's an excerpt about King Charles I. This is King Charles I. I believe this was King James's grandson. Give me 1 second here. Okay, this was his son. Okay, so this right here was King James's son, Charles I. You understand? Matter of fact, I know a brother looked just like this man. You understand? King Charles I. And he kind of got like a little Jerry curl, but you can clearly see that this is a brother. And he had a son named Charles II. And Charles II was real dark skinned, and he had a little Jerry curl look too. He was real dark skinned, and they called him Black Boy. You understand? So I'm going to read this. Read a little excerpt about what happened to the black rulership in England during the time of King James, after the time of King James. It says King Charles I had the unlucky distinction of having his head cut off by the English, or the whites, subjects in his realm. You understand? Because see, what actually happened, to go in to expound on it a little bit, and it may get into it in this book, but there was a man named Oliver Cromwell who led the revolution against King Charles I. And Oliver Cromwell was a white man. You understand? And he is actually the one who cut King Charles I's head off, and he exiled King Charles II. And so in exiling King Charles II, that's what resulted in who you see sitting on the throne of England today. That's why you now see Caucasian people sitting on the throne and on the throne in England. You understand? I'm gonna read on. It says King Charles I wasn't the only one to suffer this indignation. When the English, talking about white people, overran the country, they hung and decapitated the men, raped the women, burned the citizens at the stakes, and dashed the children against stones. It says this is a bit of history that is not taught nor reported in the annals of world history. So these are things that are not taught. You can go and read about these things. You can go look up Oliver Cromwell. Look up the beheading of King Charles II. King Charles I. You know what I mean? When you look into those things, you'll see all the atrocities that our oppressor did to us even during those days. You understand? So all of this stuff was going on. And you know what I mean, during these times, you understand, black people ruled over this zone. You understand? Matter of fact, I'm gonna read this excerpt here. This is on page 6. Hold on, Salak. And it reads, it says, the original people of Britain, France, Spain, and England were short black men of about 5 foot 6 inches in height. They were in England when our fathers, talking about white and English people, invaded the land in 449 AD. Says our fathers were a warlike people who by 607 AD had pushed the Basque west into Wales, Cumberland, Westmoreland, the Highlands of Scotland and Devon. Says these black people boasted that they were citizens of the Roman Empire. The Welsh or ancient Britons were in possession before the Romans ever came here. These black Basque Britons have brought the knowledge of iron and bronze with them. The iron and bronze technology will be proven perfectly when I show you the German tapestry. These people were herdsmen. So the black people that lived in England and Scotland and all those areas, they were herdsmen. You understand? Or, you know, they had a lot of oxen, sheep, goat, and things like that. Which has always been, you can always find that amongst the men of Israel. You understand? It says, I'm going to read on. I'm going to skip down a little bit. It says, these historians describe a world in which the blacks were in power all over the earth. So there was a point in time where we ruled damn near the whole earth, man. You understand? So here's a picture of King Charles II. You understand? Right here, they call him Black Boy. And he was called Black Boy because he had real dark skin. He had very dark skin. All right, so here's the deal, right? So we're gonna read this. All right, so all right, so here's the deal. Here's another a fact about King James. You understand? It says in the original King James Bible, King James spelled his name I-A-M-E-S. Said, why would he do that? The letter I is the Hebrew letter Zayin or Za. Not only did King James use Hebrew letters to spell his name, he also nicknamed himself Jacob. Now that's another interesting fact. He called himself Jacob. You understand? Just like how we talk about brothers or Israelites, what's one of the terms that we call them? We call them Jake. You know, we'll say Jake in the world. You understand? Or we'll talk about Jake. We'll be like, is that Jake? You know what I mean? So we even call ourselves Jacob. And even throughout the Bible, we called ourselves Jacob or Israel. You understand? That's where we come from. That's our forefather. You understand? So here's the deal, right? So here we're going to read another excerpt. All right? So this is an excerpt in this book. Let's see. So here's some interesting facts about the Scottish, right? This is written by historian James Moffitt in a book titled The British Isles and the Sabbath. His excerpt says, the Scottish have a long history of keeping the Sabbath. All of those people in Scotland, Ireland, England, during these time periods, these were black people. You understand? King James was a black man. You understand? Even in the Catholic historian, T. Ratcliffe Barnett he repeats it. He said the Scots keep the Sabbath as some traditional Irish custom. So the original Irish, the original Scottish, the original English, all of those were black people. And they're talking about us saying that we kept the Sabbath. You understand? See, I'm gonna read on. Here's another excerpt from this book. It says, let's see. All right, so here's another little fact that he has written in this book. Another excerpt. You understand? Matter of fact, let me hold that real quick. Let's go to the Bible for 1 second. I want you to go to Job 9 and 24. I want to show you something. You understand? Job 9 and 24. It says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. You understand? At one point in time, we ruled this earth. Multiple times in history, we ruled this earth. You understand? But the earth is now given to the hand of the wicked. I'm going to read on. It says, he covereth the faces. So he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. You understand? And what does that mean when it says he covered the faces of the judges thereof? You understand? Meaning that he looks all through our history and finds our leaders, our heroes, for lack of better words, and takes them and turns them into white people, saying that King James was white, saying that Jesus was white, saying that Moses was white, saying that Ezra was white. You know what I mean? Saying that John the Baptist was white. You understand that Samson was white. You understand that King Solomon was white. You understand? They painted over all of our history, saying that England, Scotland, and Ireland was all white. You understand? They first of all, they murdered us all throughout England and Scotland and Ireland. They murdered us. The king got his head cut off. It says they did that to way more people. Not just the king. If they get to the king, it had to have been a great slaughter to get your hands on the king. Close enough to cut his head off. You understand? That was a slaughter. And guess what? They did this even before this period. They had been doing this to black people all throughout Europe, all throughout the Spanish Inquisition, what they call the Renaissance. All of that was all murder of black people. That's what that was. The Renaissance wasn't some period where Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo and all these other artists decided to paint all these pictures for the first time in history. You understand? That's not what was going down. What was going down is that they was whitewashing art. It was whitewashing history. That's what they was doing. You understand? No different, not to use this example, but no different than when they made the Dragon Ball Z movie and they made a white man the main character. You understand? No different. You understand? That's what they did all through history. You understand? They took what was black and painted it white. You understand? So here's the deal. I'm gonna go back to this book. I'll show you some more things, some more interesting facts about our black history. All right, this is on page 21. It says Judah was coming into the slave trade from West Africa, and the blacks of Ireland, Scotland, and Wales were coming into the slave trade from Europe. So I know we had a question. I know somebody was going to ask the question, well, what happened to the black people? There you go, your answer right there. They went right into the slave trade, right along with everybody else. You understand? That's what happened. There was a war that was fought in England and Scotland against Oliver Cromwell and all the people that followed him. And we lost that war. You understand? And when we lost that war, he basically gave us an ultimatum. He said, you can either A, leave, or you can B, go into slavery. You understand? And many of them didn't believe they had anywhere else to go. So they went into slavery. They chose not to go anywhere. So they ended up going into slavery, right along with their brothers. You understand? So these is all parts of history that we don't know nothing about. You understand? You go in here and you paying hundreds of thousands, $40,000, $80,000, $100,000 to go to these colleges, learning black history, and they don't teach you none of this. You understand? In the I.S.U.P.K, we bringing it out free of charge. You understand? It's a lot. All right, so Salakia Bree, I don't know if you in the cartoons or anything like that, but they made a movie. I believe it's called Dragon Ball Evolution, where they made the main character. I think Goku was the main character, and he was a Japanese man in the story, but in the movie they cast him as a white man. And so what I was saying was that it's no different. You know, what they did to our history is no different than what they did with the Dragon Ball movie when they made Goku a white man. So that's the only point I was bringing, was that you know, our oppressor, you know, he always, you know, paints things in his image. You understand? As a matter of fact, you know, I'll give you another scripture to kind of drive that home. You understand? Give me 1 second here. All If you go to a book in the Apocrypha, so First Maccabees, chapter 3, verse 48. Matter of fact, let me see. It says, and laid open the book of the law, where the heathen sought to paint the likeness of their images. So all this history that I'm bringing out, our oppressor has painted he painted all of it in his image. You understand? King James was painted in his image. You understand? Yahushua was painted in his image. The Most High was painted in his image. Moses and all the prophets and the Jews themselves were all painted in his image. You understand? So that's what he's been doing all through history. You understand? And so here's another thing that he did to us. Hold on. All right, so here we're gonna read a little bit about Oliver Cromwell, who I was talking about. It says history records that after the execution of Charles I of Scotland and England, that Oliver Cromwell invaded Scotland, killed 4,000 men, and took 10,000 captive. So when Scottish blacks were driven out of Scotland, the English, talking about the Caucasians, moved into the empty land and confiscated their property and took their identity. You understand? They took our identity. You understand? And that's not the first time that they took our identity in history. You understand? We're gonna hopefully if we'll be able to get to it tonight. But I got some more stuff I'm gonna show you tonight. All right, so here we go. In 1641, Cromwell had 300,000 black Irish sold into the North Atlantic slave trade. And in 1650, he had 100,000 Irish Scottish children sold into Barbados. So this slave trade is not just about Africa. Africa. Everybody like to say, oh, we came from Africa. Well, what about the slaves that came from England or Scotland or Ireland? You understand? We don't talk about that. You know, there were slaves that came out of Russia. We don't talk about that. There were slaves that came out of Germany. You understand? There were slaves sold in Asia, in China. You understand? There were slaves that built the Great Wall of China. You understand? There were slaves sold in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia. You understand? The Middle Eastern slave trade, my goodness. Middle Eastern slave trade, they castrated all of the men of Israel. They chopped our twigs and berries off so that we could not have children, so that we could not procreate. That was genocide. Can you imagine if hundreds of thousands and millions of people, 100 million died in the slave trade? Just imagine how many made it. You understand? Out of all the slaves that were sold, you understand? Imagine if only a third got sold to America, a third got sold into the Middle East and Asia, or half got sold in America, the other half got sold in Asia and the Middle East. You understand? That's almost a third of our population wiped out just through castration. You understand? So all these nations on the earth. That's why when people come up to us, they talk about, oh, well, what about this man? What about that man? He didn't have people that have us in slavery. That's a damn lie. The African man helped kidnappers, sold us for guns and gold. You understand? The Arab man had us in slavery. The Chinese man had us in slavery. You understand? And all the other, the East Indian man had us in slavery. You understand? The Ethiopian man even had us in slavery. We've been enslaved under every nation on this earth. You understand? Let's see. What other interesting facts is in this book? All right, so we're gonna talk about the Black Irish, because that's what we talking about. We're talking about King James and where he was at. If King James was black, that means the people was black. So I want to show you this picture right here. I want to show you this picture right here. All right, can you read that title? It says the Black Irish of Jamaica. And look at the picture of the Black Irish. These are black children. These are black children. You understand? The Black Irish look like niggas to me. You understand? Today they say the Black Irish is just an Irishman with black hair, but that ain't the truth. There were black people living in Ireland who were Irish. You understand? So this is a book called A West Indian Study, Whence the Black Irish of Jamaica, by Joseph J. Williams. It says in this book, John describes the Black Irish that were deported into slavery in Jamaica as black people, and these pictures you see on this page are images of some of these Irish children. And then he goes on to show more pictures of more black children. You understand? These are a lot smaller, so you understand? So a lot of the Irish and the English, slaves or black people were sold to a lot of the islands, like the Caribbeans, like how we read about some of them going into Barbados. And that's why even today, right? If you go over to the UK today, in 2020, you're going to see two kinds of dark-skinned people, or many kinds of dark-skinned people, but you're going to find two kinds of black people, or so-called black. You're going to find some Africans, and you're going to know the Africans when you see the crust on their feet. You understand? And you're going to find Jamaicans. You're going to find, you know what I'm saying? After slavery ended, a lot of those slaves that lived in the Caribbean and lived in those islands, they went back to England because that's where they was from. That's what they knew. You understand? That's where they people came from. So they went back to where they came from. They went back to the England and seen a whole different people ruling over in England. You understand? All right, so here we go. So it is becoming apparent. All right, so this right here is talking about the coat of arms, right? So, of course, in England, a lot of these kings and families had coats of arms. And you see this right here, it's a coat of arms, and you see black people on that coat of arms. But yet, I wish where my fingers go. This right here is a white man. And this is his family coat of arms. And on his family crest, there are black men. There's a black man up at the top with a headband, and they almost look like they're ready to go to camp. Got garments on, got the headbands on, got their sword. You understand? So this is a family crest of a white man, and you got black people on his family crest. So we're going to read on. It says, it's becoming apparent that the last names of the black nobility of Europe have been assumed by the conquering English. So our oppressor is like the body snatchers. You understand? These are the body snatchers. This is a horror movie that we read. That's what we read. You understand? That's like a body, you seen the movie The Body Snatchers, where the aliens come in, take over the person, and next thing you know, you think it's the person, but it's really the alien that then took over the person. Then took the person's identity, living amongst you, like he one of y'all, but he really an alien. You understand? Our oppressor is the body snatcher. This is a real life horror movie that we're reading about. Talking about King James being black, well, yeah, that's an interesting thing to say until you dive into the details and you find out how much murder went into covering that up. You understand? Matter of fact, since we on that topic, we talking about all this bloodshed. I'm gonna go to the book of Obadiah for a second, just for 1 second. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go to Obadiah, verse 10. It says, "For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever." You understand? Our oppressor has committed acts of violence. You know what I mean? Not just, it's deeper than what we know about. It's a lot deeper than that. You know what I mean? Black people, we like to think that the violence just happened here in America when they was hanging us from trees and ripping our backs open with leather bullwhips. You understand? It's deeper than that. It's deeper than even what they did to the Native Americans. You understand? They was murdering us all across the globe. They was murdering us in all 4 corners of the earth. You understand? I'm going to read on. It says, "When the black Irish were killed or sold into the Americas, their land was confiscated under the Advance Act of 1652. And guess what? That also happened to the black people that lived in Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. You hear about Hilton Head. I think it's like one of the best golf clubs, golf courses in the world is on Hilton Head, and it's known for being a huge resort island or whatever. I've never been to Hilton Head, but it used to be owned by black families, and our oppressor came in and just assumed that property under eminent domain. You understand? And just assumed the property and took the property and called it theirs. You understand? They've been doing that type of stuff. You understand? They did it in England and Ireland and Scotland when our people, our brothers and sisters lived in. You understand? We're going to read on about what was going on. All right, hold on. So check this out, right? This is what was going on in Ireland. If you can see that, it's a horribly drawn image. Horribly drawn image, but I'm going to describe to you what's going on in this image. I'm going to read it. It says, "This black Irish woman is being roasted over coals of fire while she is being pitched with a pitchfork. These were the actions of the English soldiers when they invaded Ireland. It has also been reported that Cromwell ordered the deaths of the priesthood." You understand? It says, "Now we know the reason why the English tortured the blacks of West Africa and Europe when they came into the slave colonies. Torture was a practice of theirs on the other side of the Atlantic so their actions in the Americas are consistent with their past behavior. And guess what? They do that right here, right now, 2020. They did that to Eric Garner while he was on the street. The only difference is they tortured him for no goddamn reason other than to murder him. You understand? Our oppressor is known for torture. That's what they do in Guantanamo Bay. They say, they even have a law that says America doesn't torture. America cannot torture. You understand? So they don't call it torture. They call it interrogating. But America's been torturing people for centuries. Our oppressor has been tortured. This is a sick, maniacal bastard that we are living under in this country. You understand? Shaw says, how can you roast someone and just stick around to enjoy the smell? The same way they used to hang us from trees and sit around and eat a meal afterwards. You understand? That's what they used to do. They used to sit around and laugh and giggle and play music. That's where the term picnic comes from. You understand? Picnic. They used to pick a nigga and hang him from a tree. And they'll sit around and play music, lay out the little tablecloths or sheets. I don't know what you call the thing. I don't even know. A blanket. I don't know. The blanket. The food baskets. Start playing their banjos. All the kids and all that standing around. You understand? They used to do that in celebration of killing us. You understand? This is a sick people that we living under. You understand? All right, so let's see here. All right, this is on page 43. It says, once the slave ships left the west coast of Africa, she continued on the Middle Passage, and from there she proceeded to the Americas. These ships were carrying two different groups of blacks. One group of captives came from Ireland, Britain, Wales, Scotland, and France. The other group came from West Africa. You understand? These are all facts about black history that you'll never hear about. You understand? That you'll never hear about. All right, so here's another one. Let's see. All right, so all of that there is proof. You understand? This is a good resource to have. And in fact, when you go into this book, the first section of this entire book, he shows you all of his references in it. So this isn't just something that he made up off the top of his head. You understand? He's got plenty of references, and he actually highlights all of those references. You understand? So this is definitely a great resource to have. You understand? Because you can read about King James, read about the black monarchies of England and Scotland and things like that. You understand? And so here's the deal, man. King James was a black man. King James was a black man. This Bible is a black man's book. This is a book of black history written by black people, translated by black men. You understand? And hijacked by white people. You understand? So after watching this class, if you're one of them type of people that believes that King James is white after that, then it just ain't no debating with you. You understand? It just ain't no debating with you. Show me proof that King James was a white man. You understand? Other than a picture. Because I can show you a picture plus historical sources showing you that King James was a black man. King James was not a homosexual, because if King James was a homosexual, he wouldn't have allowed for it to be in the Bible that it's unlawful to be a homosexual. King James actually told his son that being a homosexual is something that you could not be forgiven for. You understand? So King James was very anti-homosexual. He was anti-LGBT community. You understand? Now the thing is, so to give you a sidebar about King James. King James translating the Bible, he didn't do so out of righteousness. You understand? He wasn't doing this for the cause. You know, his reason for doing it was strictly political. You understand? Those are his reasons for translating the Bible. To give you to explain to you what I mean. Prior to the 1611 King James Bible, there were no Bibles in mass production. In fact, during this time, books were very, 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 very expensive. That was something that only rich people could get their hands on. And I'm talking the filthiest of the rich. Not just people who got a little bread. I'm talking about the filthy, stinking, ridiculous. Having books was like having yachts and Bentleys and Maseratis and things like that. You understand? That is a object of rich people. You understand? Whereas a poor man or an average man or a layman, in order for you to you had to be read the Bible, and the only place you could be read the Bible was at the Catholic Church. You had to go to Catholic Church, and they had to read you the Bible. Not only did they have to read you the Bible, but they read it to you in Latin and then told it to you in a language you can understand. You understand? That is how things were back in these days. So King James, what he sought out to do was he wanted to, of course, in Christian theology, we basically have the Roman concept of monogamy in the Christian church. So in the Christian, King James was married to a sister. He had 9 kids with the sister. And what he wanted to do was he wanted to divorce her and get another woman. But of course the Catholic Church did not believe in divorce and would not approve his divorce of his wife so that he could marry another woman. And so King James then rebelled against the Catholic Church. And when he rebelled against the Catholic Church, he made himself an enemy of the Catholic Church. And so in doing so, there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of little political things that went on, as far as getting back at the Roman Catholics. And one of the things he did was he published the 1611 SHALAM. He published the 1611 King James Bible. So the reason why he published the 1611 King James Bible was really to kind of disrupt the power of the Roman Catholic Church by putting a Bible in everyone's hands. So he made the King James Bible and made it affordable. And not only that, but he took the original text Textus Receptus. So I can't remember the exact word, how you say it. But he took the original Textus Receptus with the Hebrew and the Greek, and he hired Hebrew and Greek scholars to translate all of it over into Quaker English. And in doing so, we now have the 1611 King James Bible. You understand? So those are the reasons why he did what he did in putting together the King James Bible. It wasn't because he was led by the Most High. Well, he obviously had to be, because here we have it today, and it still stands it still withstands history as being the most accurate version. So without doing what he did, we wouldn't have any version today. We'd be still going to the Catholic Church, trying to figure out what the Bible talking about. You understand? So here's the top. So I wanted to bring all of that out today to show you, you understand, proof that King James was a black man. The Jews were black. King James was a Jew. He was an Israelite. You understand? And his people, the Irish and the Scottish, went into slavery, right along with the tribe of Judah. Went right along into slavery. You understand? That's how all that history got whitewashed. That's how all of our history got taken from us, man, through slavery. And we live under such a disgusting pig that not only did he put us in slavery, not only did he do that, but he also took our identity. Like, you hear brothers say it all the time in the UPK, and it's so right, that even when you go to prison, when you go to prison, you have to submit your ID card. You have to give that stuff up to them. You understand? And then from that moment forward, you're just identified as a number, as inmate 46776. That's who you are known as. That's how you identify yourself from here forward. And then when you serve your time and you get out of prison, they do what? They give you back your identification. You understand? They give you back your ID card. Well, when they freed us from slavery, when they ended slavery, they did not give us back our identity. You understand? They did not give that back. You understand? Shalaki, give me 1 second. Shalaki, I thought I heard somebody knock on the door, but it was upstairs or something like that. You understand? So we got any questions in the room? Anybody got any questions? you got any questions, go ahead and type them in. All right, so the name of this book is called The Negro Question. The Negro Question, Part 4. Matter of fact, I'll type it in. Give me 1 second. Uh-oh. All right, so I just typed it into the. All right. So for some reason it's not accepting it on YouTube. All right, no sweat. Well, it was for you anyway. So give me 1 second. I don't know why it's not posting to YouTube. Mess around, I got banned from YouTube. Is anybody watching on YouTube? Is YouTube still up? Yana Bar. Second. Alright, so YouTube's still up. It's still going. Alright, no sign of Christ. Alright, so alright, so check this out, right? Our oppressor, you know, he been doing this, he been murdering us, slaughtering us for hundreds of years, man. You understand? He been slaughtering us for hundreds of years. That's why when we see things like, you understand, shalom, shalom on what? You know, that's why when we see things like the coronavirus running rampant, you understand, ripping apart the Moabites. You understand? Got these devils in fear. These devils think feel like the world about to come to an end. You understand? They in so much fear because deep down, they know they deserve it. They know they deserve death and destruction for what their forefathers did, man. They know that they deserve it. They've always felt like the world was going to come to an end because they know it. You understand? Because they deserve it. That's their curse from Cain. From Cain all the way down. That is their curse. Their curse is to be wiped off the planet. You understand? And see, they've always had this hatred towards us, man. And I'm not talking about a hatred as in, this brother got the Benz, I'm driving in the Chevy. I can't stand that dude over there, man. He be snitching, he this and that, yada, yada, yada. I'm just hating on the cat. That ain't the type of hating I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kind of hating The hate that'll make you take a defenseless woman, like what we brought out earlier, a defensive black woman, and put her on a grill and fry her like a baby back rib. With one of them them little devil poker things that you always see the devil with. You know, who the world thinks of when they think of the devil. They think of a red-skinned man in a suit with a slick back hair with a pitchfork. You understand? These red devils was really literally burning us alive and sticking us with them pitchforks to keep us in the fire. You understand? To keep us cooking. That's what they did to us, man. And they've been doing stuff like that for 500 years, man. You understand? They've been doing it for 500 years. You think all that's going to change because Martin Luther King had a dream? Come on now. You think the only thing Martin Luther King died for was for your right to sleep with white women and not get hung from a tree for it. That's what Martin Luther King died for. You understand? Because he definitely didn't die for me because I'm jammed up. We jammed up in America. You understand? He ain't died. He died to have us jammed up. He died to fulfill his lust. That's what he died for, man. He said it in his speech, so little black boys and little white girls can sit down together and hold hands. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, we still gonna get oppressed in the ghetto. We ain't gonna have no black leaders. We just gonna have crack addictions. You understand? We gonna fill up the prisons. You know what I mean? We're gonna be in gangs. We're gonna have black on black violence. You understand? We're gonna get gunned down by the cops, and the only thing we're gonna do is get high. You understand? We're just gonna self-medicate. That's what Martin Luther King died for, man. Meanwhile, 2020, they getting coronavirus, and you know what? They buying guns. And why they buying guns? You understand? I brought it out at camp a while ago. Matter of fact, I'm gonna pull that. I'm gonna go ahead and get to that. Give me 1 second here. I'm gonna read you a story. One second. Uh-oh. 1 second. Give me 1 second here. yeah. Oh yeah. Here you go. Boom. This is an article. I brought it out at camp a while back. Never. I always kept it in the stash for a reason. All right. It's an article written by Scientific American. The title of this article is "Why Are White Men Stockpiling Guns?" It's a good question. We should wonder. We should figure. Why are they stockpiling guns? It's a fair enough question. Let's read on. It says research suggests it's largely because they're anxious about their ability to protect their families, insecure about their place in the job market, and beset by racial fears. Let's see. Give me 1 second here. I'm trying to find the part that really gives you the meat and potatoes. Give me 1 second here. Hold on, this isn't the article. Give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second here. You know what? I lost the article. I got it printed out of my little notebook at the house. I'll bring it out next week. I'm gonna save that for next week. That's gonna be the topic of next week's class. You understand? We're gonna go to Ezekiel chapter 35 and verse 5. It says, "Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time that their iniquity had an end." Verse 6 says, "Therefore as I live, saith Yahweh thy power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that remaineth. So these our oppressors had a perpetual hatred for us. You know, perpetual hatred meaning a continual hatred. This isn't something new. This isn't something that just spark in a person's mind one day where they can be cool with black people all their life, and then one day just decide, you the one that I'm going to be racist to. Nah, they have a perpetual hatred for us. And I'm going to describe to you what that means, right? You got to say, if you have a friend who was a devil, right? I'm going to tell you something about devils. Black people, we got an extra $30, $40 on our check. You know what we might go do? We might go buy a bottle of Hennessy, you know, a little something to drink on. Might go to the club, have a couple drinks. I'll tell you what our oppressor does with that extra $30. They'll call an abortion clinic and donate specifically for the cause of aborting a black child. They will voluntarily pay for the abortions of black and Hispanic babies. You understand? They'll call into Planned Parenthood, like, yeah, I'd like to donate, I'd like to pay for an abortion for somebody. Like, sure, why not? And then they say, can I specify on race? They'll be like, yeah. And they'll go in there and they'll tell you, I want to pay for a black baby to get aborted. It's the same devil that'll smile in your face, listen to rap music, smoke weed with you, play the game with you. You understand? While we trying to survive, they paying for our genocide. You understand? So they've had a perpetual hatred for us, man. It's been continual since way back in the day, man. I'm showing you things happening in the 1600s where they was burning sisters alive, man. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine one day in America if our oppressors just decide to just start kicking in doors in the hood? Just go through the projects. You know, the projects is set up for Slaughterville. All these sisters live in the projects getting Section 8 and they got no man. You just set up for Slaughterville. You understand? Because all it takes is for them devils to just decide one day, you know what, enough is enough. I'm tired of secretly hating on these niggers. Let's just go ahead and just start carrying out our hate on these niggers. The first place they going, because you got to think about it, man, our oppressor is a coward, man. He is a coward. The first place he going is to the unarmed sisters, man. That's the first place he going. You understand? That's the first place they going. And guess what? That was probably the first place they went to in Scotland. That's probably the first place they went to in Ireland. Catching up all these sisters, man. Burning. They looked like they had her on a grill, like. Had her on the grill with coals burning up underneath the grill. Had her laying on the grill on fire. He's sitting there poking her with the thing, keeping her on the flame, man. You understand? That's why when we tell sisters in the UPK, y'all like to say we come down hard on sisters, man. The reason why we come down hard on our sisters is because we trying to prevent something like what happened to the sister in Scotland. We trying to prevent that. You understand? And guess what? The sisters in the UPK, they have protection from that. You understand? Sisters, you understand? Sisters should not be left into a situation like this for something like that to happen. You understand? But we live in a society that has perpetually hated the black man and uplifted the black woman only with the intention of one day doing something like this. You understand? Think about it, man. During the Trail of Tears, you hear the most stories about what they was doing to our sisters. You hear more stories about the raping that they was doing to our defenseless sisters. You hear stories about how they would take the pregnant sisters and cut their bellies open and pull they developing children out of their stomachs. You understand? When I would tell you something, if that sister had a man in the UPK, I guarantee you that there would be blood on that. There would be money or something on that man's head, because that priest is going to be on his head. I promise you that. You understand? That man, I'm telling you, as a priest of the Most High, you will die before you let somebody harm your rib. You understand? It's an honor to do that. You understand? So don't take it lightly. If you married to a priest, don't take it lightly when he come down hard on you, because you are married to a man who is going to put his life on the line for you with no hesitation. A real soldier. You understand? Because that's what type of love it takes to survive something like this. You know what I mean? I can't be like, oh well, I'm gonna let you go and do what you want to do. Then okay, baby. Oh, you want to just run over me and kick me out the house and take the kids? All right, okay. Well, all right. I guess I'm on child support. Oh no, you know what I mean? So many sisters push their man away. You understand? When that man is gonna be there to protect you in that day. And that day when them devils try to throw you on that grill. It's going to be a whole different tune song. You understand? So we got any other questions? Any other concerns next week? You know, okay. All right, Shar, I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Next week we're gonna turn up the heat a little bit. Show y'all some things that's gonna make you a little uncomfortable. You know, hopefully it's gonna make the Christians uncomfortable if they tuning in. If you're in the UPK, you ain't got nothing to worry about. You understand? But I'm gonna show you some things that's gonna blow your mind about why people buy guns, why oppressors buying all these guns. You understand? I got an article that goes into it that did a survey. They did a survey about a year ago. You understand? I ain't gonna give you too much. We're gonna hold off until next week. You understand? All right, with that. We the I.S.U.P.K. started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother or sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she will get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which that brother or sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18:21. Malachi 3:8 through 10 means tenth in Hebrew, ma'asher. 10% of every penny of any increase that the Lord gives you. Give to treasury department or teacher. Priest fund. It's a free will offering for the priest, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. We got the Salakia. Upcoming holy convocation. We got the Passover. However, Lord willing, we do not have a date yet for the Passover. As soon as that comes, you know what I mean, we definitely gonna let you know. So stay tuned. Remind Akwathi to check the bulletin board in the hallway. for any new announcements. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, you start wearing all black. That's boots, shirt, pants, headband, and war scarf. All right? And with that, salute to the brothers. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabrakatah. To the sisters, Yahweh Shamar Latah Shem Yahweh Shah. And with that, Shalom, Israel.